clicker. Okay, so I want to leave enough time to do some of the review. So, in fact, maybe I'll go do the review now, and then if there's time left, I'll come back to this just to make sure we get through the review. Also because there's more easy clicker points during the review than there is. These questions in chapter 10 are a little harder, maybe. So we're going to start off. So the practice midterm, right? Which bring that over here. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, so I'm actually going to go through PowerPoints for a bunch of this, but just to talk a little bit, right? So this is pretty much the way the exam will be formatted, just so that you don't freak out. Right? So the exam, you'll notice here it says the closed book is 5 points each, 75 points total, right? And then the open book is... Okay, so the open book is out of 140 points, right? So this exam was 290. Right? I don't worry about them being nice round numbers because I do everything on a curve. The average last year, in fact, this year the points will be similar, maybe a little bit smaller. I like to make them so there's enough for me to count, but I didn't need 5 points for the closed book, and I didn't need, so I might change the scale just a little bit. But the exam will be out of lots of points. Okay, the average last year was around 200, right? Out of whatever this is, 300 and some points, 290, right? So the exam last year was a little easier than it had been the years in the past, but I also gave them a little bit longer, so it gives you more time during the open note section. So there'll be a trade-off in terms of how much time you get. You can always be looking stuff up, but if you spend too much time looking stuff up, you won't have time to finish everything. So just a little test-taking strategy. The advantage to you of an exam that is longer and has more questions is what? Why is that to your advantage if I give you an exam that has more questions than I expect you to answer? That's it.
You need to know just a few things that drawing questions will show.
Right. So you don't have to know everything. You can choose which ones you're going to answer. If it's just a few, you'll still only get just a few. But if there's a question that you don't know how to answer, don't say, I'm going to go look this one up right now, okay? This test is, if you don't know one, go to the next one, right? Because you might know the other ones and get a chance to show me what you do know, and then come back and prioritize them, okay?
Well, I'm sure we can get partial credit by showing work. Will we be penalized if we don't show work?
Yes, okay? If you don't show some reasonable amount of work, if magically the answer to a long matrix derivation is a matrix that shows up, you will get nothing for getting the right answer if you don't have some idea how to get there, because I can't tell that that idea did not come from an awkward glance sideways that said, oh look, it's that matrix again, I've seen it. Okay, so there'll be a little bit of that. Oh, and there will be differential seating next week. So when you come in, look at the board because it'll have a seating chart like we had once before. Maybe not the same one. I haven't decided what the seating will be, but you will be in assigned seats so that I have less to worry about people sitting next to their really good friends who will pass them an answer. Not that any of you would cheat, but I've had this before, so we want to make that more difficult. So you won't be sitting next to somebody. There will be no sharing of devices, which I forgot to mention last when I said some stuff before, right? So you can't share a calculator with anybody because that allows too much information sharing, so that won't happen either. But anyhow, as you go through this exam, okay, especially though the closed book section, you can't go forward to the open book. The way it will work is you will all have closed book sections. I will have the open books here. You will turn in the closed book section, come up and get an open book section. and you cannot open your books until I say it, or your notes. I keep saying books, but you can't use your notes until I say it's okay to use your notes. And that's because it's very difficult for me to be patrolling which student is allowed to use notes and which one is not. And the closed book sections are very easy if you have your notes, because they're just like, what's this word mean kind of stuff, which is really easy to look up. So those kinds of definitional things are mostly in the closed book section. So you will actually be working on part of the open book section without notes. So look through, which ones can I answer right now? Oh, that's in my notes, I'll get to that one later. Right, work your way through that as you go through that. So that's just some sort of elements of strategy, and I'll come back to this guy in just a little bit, but I want to start with just some of the closed book ones, because there are many people whose clicker grades, so the clicker grades that are curved on Blackboard are still not your final first clicker grade, because whatever comes in today will be added to that. Your grade can only go up based on today, but I wanted to get to at least 120 points, and we're at 110, so I want to make sure there's at least 10 clicker questions today. So we'll do some of the closed book questions very quickly, just as a review, because it's a review, and these should be pretty easy. These are things you should be able to do just in your own, no notes. I will give you around 1 minute for each of these questions, and then we'll talk about the answers. And I know that may be a pressure for some of you, but that's the kind of time you're going to want to spend during the exam on each of these, is around a minute. Some of the closed book sections doing math will take a little bit longer, but these simple questions should be simple. So, what steps does Gaussian elimination generally involve? Not on? It's counting. Give it a second. It's not on Reef. Okay, let me kill it off and so that one will not count. If you voted, vote again. Is on a Reef this time. No, actually, while I hit the open, okay, what is going on here?
I'm still getting the engagement on the question.
Hmm?
I'm still getting the engagement on the question. That helps.
Okay, how about now? I don't know how to close a question that's closed. Yes, but like this says it's closed, right? This is showing me that there's no open question. Okay, I will try closing clicker. Oh, it won't close. That's interesting. So yeah, it's in some funky state. Wait. Come on, clicker. Okay, so I can resume the session. Well, it's still saying Reef Mobile is disabled. Okay, restarted. Can you see anything on?
Let me try to restart it now.
I don't have enough clickers to give everyone clickers. If I grade on a curve, that just shifts the mean, doesn't change anything. Oh, but I'm not grading clickers on the mean, so it might actually still work. But, let's try. I quit the program entirely and restarted it. I'm going to try starting a new. But see, it's like when I look at my screen, it says mobile reef disabled. It's possible. It's, Okay, killing off some programs to free up memory. My machine was swapping, so maybe clicker can't handle swapping. Nope. Reef mobile is disabled. It's only useful if it's not my fault. Although I just left it running, so mobile enable. No, something's wrong in the program because it's not showing my. It's not when I go to log in. It's also, when I go to log in the website version, it refuses to let me. You get the app going? Yeah, it says cannot connect to Reef. Try again. So I pull up some diagnostics. So Reef must be temporarily down. So we will go forward and we will go with a show of hands for each question. No, we'll just go through the questions and I will just give people 8 points because that's all we're going to do. So I'm going to believe you all get these right. You will get 8 clicker points. So, what steps does Gauss elimination generally involve out of this list? Pivoting. Only pivoting.
All of the others.
All of the others. So all of the, well, I say others because in the exam they're sideways and they're not always on the same line. So no, forward substitution. Okay, it's forward elimination, back substitution, and shear matrices. Okay, so don't expect me to make them really easy to look at all of them, right? You got to get the terms right. Okay, so next one. So the correct answer was D, pivoting. If two independent vectors treated as column vectors are concatenated as columns to create a new matrix, what is the rank of the resulting matrix? So if I take two vectors and concatenate them, what's the rank? Somebody other than column. Nathan.
1.
Somebody else. So, good guess. Also not correct. Don't. 2, right? How do we know it's 2? Besides, we know that it's not A and E or B and E, right?
Because this is the definition of
Right. So the one definition of rank is how many linearly independent rows or columns are there? So this question said I have 2 linearly independent columns and I stuck them next to each other. The rank must be 2. So that gives you a way of looking at rank. If I'd done rows, it would have been something similar. If an object is moved without changing its size, shape, or orientation, then it is... Brian. Translated, yes. A, translated. This one was really easy. Everybody should have gotten this one. There'll be a couple easy ones. There's mixtures of easy and hard. Right, so, consider the vector v equals 3, 4. What is the normalized form of this? What's the normalized form of v? Brina. D. 3 divided by 5, 4 divided by 5. That is, it's the vector 3, 4 divided by the norm of the vector, which is what I gave you here, right? So that's 3 squared plus 4 squared is 5 squared. So the answer was D. Okay, this little t here means a transpose, right? That's the wrong shape, right? I have no idea how you get the other answers. Maybe you take the numbers one over each other, swap them, or there's lots of things that you can do to numbers that are not related to normalizing them. Okay, let A equal minus 2, minus 3, minus 2, 3, 1, and B equals whatever. What is A dot B? Somebody in the back row. Oh, you're almost the back row. B, 37.4. I don't know, but that sounds about right. The other numbers are too small. It's not 42. C and D are vectors. Can't be that. So, yeah, it's not 2.2 because 3 times 12 is 36. So, yeah. Well, I guarantee one of the answers will be 42. I won't guarantee it will be correct.
One of the correct answers.
I knew that's what you meant, but we've had clicker questions where a correct answer was 42. Okay, if a transformation has a linear map and a translation, what is it? Somebody in the back row. Somebody who hasn't been called on lately. Milo, what do you think it is? You don't know. Sina? B. No, not B. Tanner? Projective. No. Isaac? Perspective. No. Stephen, what do you think? D. No. The answer is none of the other answers. What is it? Affine or affine. Right? It's a fine transform, right? No, none of those are. Okay. So this is not boding well for many of you for the midterm, right? This is a term we covered today. Short-term memory, long-term memory is hard enough. Short-term memory, you guys really got to work on some of your going through that terminology. You might want to get a partner and take a bunch of the words and do like flashcards or something, right? Make sure you know all those words. Okay, this one everybody should get, but I will go with somebody in the back row. So ret, what is the size of the matrix? 3 by 6 times a 6 by 7. Jason. C, 3 by 7, correct. Yay! Okay, now, these are not multiple choice questions, but we'll still go over, you just kid a couple, right? So, A is whatever, B is whatever. What is the angle between A and B? And you can leave, if I say like this, you can leave it as a formula. You can say, here's the formula, theta, solve for theta. You don't have to solve for theta. I don't care about the numbers. I care that you know how to get to it, okay? And in general, I don't believe that it is necessary to simplify or convert things into hard numbers. If you've got the right formula, you will get full credit, unless I tell you to solve for the numbers in general. But if you have a very generic formula that is like, it's related to the cosine or the dot product, right? You're not going to get many points. I want to know, so what is this? So what is this? How do I get the angle? One of two choices. Michael, Nixon. Do the dot product and do what with it? Find the distance. I want the angle between them, not the distance between the vectors. Okay, so yeah, cosine theta equals a dot b divided by the norm of a times the norm of b, right? You put that formula, you solve for theta. There's another formula with sine. And there's no difference. Right, the norm of a vector is its magnitude. So if I wanted to use sine, there's another formula with this sine. What's the sine formula? Well, so actually there's many norms. We will talk about the differences of many different norms later. So the norm applies to matrices and to vectors, right? So if I treat a vector as a matrix, then its norm gives me the same value as its magnitude. For a matrix, it doesn't have the concept of a magnitude. It has only the concept of a norm. So it's a generalization. So there's a formula that you could also use for sine. Anyone else remember the other formula that gets you an angle? Not a dot product, but what's the other kind of product we looked at? Cross product. So there's a relationship between sine theta and a cross product and some stuff. Right? So you can get there with a cross product, right? With, again, normalizations, you can get to sines or cosines. But either one gives you a way of getting the angle. So next question, to give the general parametric and implicit form of a line, right? I'm looking for you to write down the formulas and label them. If you just give me two formulas and you don't tell me which is implicit or which is parametric, you lose points because I want to know you know which one is which. Okay, so that's enough in terms of the PowerPoint. We'll go back to the PDF.
Can we get a concrete answer
For 8. I don't know, what's 8? Oh, so cosine theta equals a dot b divided by the norm of a times the norm of b, or the magnitude of a to the magnitude of b. So
is that all you want?
So I in that question you could have said and then solve for theta. Now you could, I guess, because I gave you numbers for a and b, I would expect a dot b to be computed because I asked you to compute a dot b like 3 lines earlier. It was the same a and b. Right. So
Do we get calculators in this part?
you can, so first part, no calculators. So if you just wrote a dot b with a and b filled in, I'll be fine with that. But I do want to see that you know what the norm of a and the norm of b means. So no, I probably want you to compute the norm of a and the norm of b. Yeah, the fraction on the right, yeah. Because it's also showing that you know how to compute norms and stuff in there. Okay, so I'm now going to